G'day everybody, welcome to 4 Minute Friday, where we're learning to lead with and like Jesus. And today's content requires like a bit of a sit down with a cup of coffee, for a bit of a chat, because it's pretty heavy. It can be pretty close to home and pretty demanding, and we've got 4 minutes. So let's see how we go. I want to talk about mental health today, and in particular the mental health of a leader. Because as a leader, your mental health is far more vulnerable and susceptible than anybody else's because of the demand put on you. The demand and the requirement put on you by others above you, by internally yourself, and by those that you lead. So you're already at a disadvantage, which is why it's so essential that you look after your mental health, that it should be one of the central aspects of your life that you pay special attention to, that you make sure you give the care and the nurture that it requires, and you stay aware of it all the time. Otherwise, it's not just you that'll fall over, it's everything else in your life. Like everything else, so much of your stability in life and your health and your joy and your fruit in life is dependent on your mental health, as well, of course, that's informed by your spiritual health. But the mental health is where we grapple with these things. So you will find already that you're probably your worst critic. People will criticize you, but you're not as bad as you criticize yourself. And you have to be careful how much you do that with your mental health. Just like the demand that's on you for your time and your energy and your attention is never ending. You will never satisfy that demand, ever. And if you think you can, you are fooling yourself. So stop right now and realize that the demand of ministry and of serving others will never stop. It will constantly always be there. So you need to self-monitor yourself. So we need to identify those triggers. Now, I speak to you out of someone who's, I've been in ordained ministry for 20 years. And over that time, I've had just one before and then one during, I don't know if you call it a depressive episode or something like that, but where I significantly struggle with mental health. And I never want to go back there. It's so hard, it's so difficult, it's so, And for the grace of God, I think it's been 15 or more years where I've been sort of excused from that, I've been saved from that. I haven't had to kind of be drawn back into it. But I've learned a lot of things, and those things have sustained me. The first is to know your triggers. What triggers your mental health spiral? We all have triggers. It might be that someone, when they're giving some feedback to us or some criticism, they hit one of those triggers. Or you're looking at social media and you see other things happening in the world around you, and that stirs a trigger. Or it might be a memory that you're reminded of that takes you back, that stirs a trigger. It might be an inadequacy in you, but there's a trigger. And what you can do, instead of spiraling out of control, you can recognize that's a trigger and I need to speak to that a different way. I need to speak a truth that God speaks to me about that. And Jesus is the truth, right? So we need to present Jesus in that trigger to disable and disarm that trigger. I think the second is not to internalize the good or the bad others say about you. Like as leaders, we like to believe the press about what people say about us when we're doing good. And you don't really want to internalize that. You don't want that to define what your nature and your value is by what others say about you. That's not healthy at all. Just like when people say bad things to you or about you, don't internalize that either. You simply want to know the truth that God says about you and believe that. So what does Jesus say about you? That's what you need to believe when you find yourself believing what others say, whether it's good or bad. They don't know you or care about you or love you as deeply as God does. And so you need to back, and you need to know what God says, and you need to back on that. You need to rely on that. All right, we're out of time for today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it up here. I'm going to put these questions on the screen, and we're going to get into the rest of it next week. Sound good? Probably not, but that's what we're going to do. Thanks, everybody.